And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Iowa, a 7/8 mile playground of multi-groove racing and speed. Tonight, the Great Lakes Truck Series chase continues here at the Iowa Speedway for the Iowa Farmers 200. My name is Jonathan Oates, and joining me tonight in the broadcast booth, Ross Brockman. Ross, what are we looking for in tonight's race?
Well, Iowa, what a fun racetrack. I think it's a driver's favorite racetrack, but also for us. I think you and I were talking off air. We were excited to watch this race. Like you say, multiple lanes. There's a lot of options around this racetrack. Lots of character. There's nothing better than being in the middle of farm country, Iowa. It's a beautiful area, and can't wait to see them rip around this somewhat short track.
Definitely going to be a fun race tonight. Hunter Madalinas, your points leader, suffered a big loss in the points after last week's race. Oh, now I've done it. Last week's race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where Gavin Fitzgerald took victory. We were off the air for that, but we are back tonight. Madalinas looks to extend his championship lead as the 71 car looks to close it in. Madalinas is on pole. Matthew Weeks alongside. We are going to go green flag racing here from Iowa. Your front two ready to get it underway. Pace truck is down onto pit road, and we are green at the Iowa Speedway. Lap 1 is complete, and it's a long race tonight. 200 laps ahead of these drivers. Hunter Madalinas leads early with Elliott Henderson up into second. Weeks is down in the third, and look at them already fanning out 3 wide up against the wall throughout the field. We're watching Christian Peterson right now try and forge his way to the front of the field. He's got 6 points to make up on Hunter Madalinas, and right now sits just inside the top 10.
Yeah, we saw some right away. A lot of these drivers kind of using those first couple lanes off the bottom. And Nicholas Caressel in the 40 was started up front and was high, and he's still up there using the almost the top lane. I think most of these guys are going to want to stay towards the bottom early on when you have fresh tires. But yeah, there's options here. Of course, we talked about it. It's a great way to maybe get away from people and try to make up ground.
Yeah, Caressel already hanging it out wide. We talk about the multi-groove nature of this track. We're already seeing it. Christian Peterson goes for a dive on Jared Darling for P5, but we have a caution. Jared Duda is around in the back. Sorry, that's not Jared Duda. That's Jim Duda. Around out of turn number 4. Caution is out for the first time tonight.
Yeah, it looks like maybe Preston Henry was involved in this too. We'll see as we take a look at the replay, but yeah, close. We saw close quarters up in that top 10. That kind of happens here on these restarts. You get going. Looks like, the 8 maybe of Tyrell Baker got in the back of the 16.
Well, it was a very interesting incident. Duda was kind of cutting down the track in front of the 8 truck and then sort of just dropped it on exit. That's what spun him around. Baker sort of finished him off, but Baker didn't really have much to do with it. We're on board with him now. And yeah, Duda down the track just drops it. And sorry, no, that is Terrell Baker. Okay, sorry, I just had to make sure we got the driver right there.
Yeah,
I not running an all-white truck.
Yeah, it finally had the money to put the wrap on this week. No, I'm just kidding. But I did run some laps myself before the race, and it's definitely loose off. With this truck, it's very easy. We've seen it at a lot of these tracks this year where you kind of underestimate how much grip you have leaving the corner, and it's very easy to start to spin. And if it's early on, you got somebody right behind you. It don't take much once you start spinning that they kind of almost not on purpose, but they kind of finish you off and send you for a spin. So it's something that these guys need to be aware of when they exit the corner, that you can't just jump on the gas.
Spencer Owens caught a piece of that wreck as well. He is one of your chase drivers. While we are under this caution, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the points as they run. We're only 6 laps in, so it should be just about what they were coming into this race. But if we could just take a look at that now. Here it is on your screen. Hunter Madalinas right now puts up a 16-point lead over Matthew Weeks. But you can see that's come down a little bit from last week. Weeks currently holds second place with Peterson in third. Those three are your big three, so to speak, with Henderson and Barbagelata rounding out your top five. Spencer Owens, who was involved in that wreck, is already down in ninth, so unfortunately, not, for him, not too much of a blow. I'm sure he would have liked to be a little bit higher up. And Chris Heller, who has missed a good portion of these playoff races, sits down in 10th.
And we kind of talked about early on in this chase format that you want to be within 20 to 30 points throughout the first couple weeks, especially with last week's race at Atlanta on that new kind of super speedway type hybrid track. That's your last kind of wild card to maybe gain ground. And now you need to close it up. So yeah, these guys with Madalenas out front here, you're gonna see a lot of these other playoff drivers. The time is now. You got to go get some points if you want to have a shot here in the final couple weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely a go time, so to speak. Madalenas came into this race with a 6-point advantage over, I believe it was Christian Peterson. It might have been Matthew Weeks, but a 6-point advantage nonetheless. Well, right now it's sitting at a 16-point advantage, or maybe it was a 10-point advantage. It's somewhere in the double digits. It's just about doubled, is my point. So from just winning and Matthew Weeks finishing in third, that points lead is getting twice as big as it was coming in. So it's important, it's important to put the hammer down now. You can't really wait around too long. Obviously, we got a long race here tonight, but it can be hard to pass at Iowa, and you really got to start putting the pressure on now.
Yeah, we'll see what maybe some of these drivers that are hanging on within a race in points here to throw a different strategy tonight to try to do something different. I think that might not be a bad play for some of our chase drivers that are fifth on back to try to do something, because yeah, you're running out of time.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of opportunities for strategy tonight. Iowa, one of those tracks where track position and tires kind of fluctuate as to which one's more important, and getting that balance right can be key to winning here. Pace truck is going to go in this time by Madalenas and Henderson are your top two, and Nathan Jump, he played playoff spoiler a couple of weeks ago in New Hampshire. He'll be outside row 2. Coming into the restart zone, Madalenas brings us back to green. We're back underway at Iowa.
We saw the great restart at the start of the race for Madalenas. Kind of brought Elliott right up to second place, and this time Elliott was next to Madalenas and was able to at least stay in second place.
That was a good restart by Elliott Henderson, but here comes Nathan Jump looking outside of Henderson. He'll cross over to the bottom, so now into turn 1. Preferred line going to go to the 41 car as he rides in all the way at the bottom. Henderson, though, going to use that outside and hang with Nathan Jump. We're going to start to see here just how hard it can be to pass at Iowa. You've got the shorter distance around the inside, but the outside line can just carry so much more momentum. They'll stay side by side out of turn 4, sorry.
Yeah, Jump was the last season won this race at Iowa, and I think that he's going to be one to contend with here tonight. When you like you said though, it's tough to pass. You get side by side. You start it's so easy to kind of gain a little bit of ground and then lose it in the same corner, which is so frustrating.
And as those two stay side by side, Hunter Madalenas is starting to scoot away in the lead just a little bit. Behind them, Tony Manji looking to the inside for third, and even further back, Shane Neiswanger is side by side with Jared Darling. Neiswanger going to drop back in line. He is also one of your playoff drivers. Darling, another driver with maybe a little bit of something to lose here at Iowa. He comes into this race without a win on the season, despite coming close a number of times. The closest he ever got was second place at Darlington a couple weeks back. I just realized the irony of that, by the way, Darlington. Meanwhile, the battle behind continues as well. Austin Moore on the inside of Robin Durr. That battle for 16th. Moore's going to have it into turn 3. Look behind there, fanning out wide. That 44 truck all the way on the high side, that's Matt Durr on the outside of Lewis Woodall.
Talk about Austin Moore, and I feel like almost every week we're talking about him moving up through the field through the first half of the race. So definitely maybe not a qualifier, but great at race pace, and definitely already up 6 positions here, just 14 laps in.
Race pace is definitely something we're going to have to talk about tonight because there are so many ways to attack Iowa. Sometimes I feel like it's not enough to just put practice laps on the board. But what I'm very curious about is Hunter Madalinas and how he's going to approach this race. I feel like he always talks about in his post-race interviews that he always approaches every corner the same. He tries his best to really nail one line down and use it for the whole race. But at a track like Iowa, at a track that's going to change so much, you got to wonder if he's going to have to change up his strategy a little bit and start moving around.
Yeah, and it's we could see it on the broadcast, and folks watching, you can see in 1 and 2, there's bumps kind of down on the bottom, and then there's some bumps higher up. So sometimes that middle lane is the more comfortable lane to be in, but yeah, you have to kind of go different spots. 3 and 4 almost feels flat and smooth compared to 1 and 2, which is crazy to say with a track that has as much character as Iowa does. But yeah, it's lots of different places to potentially go for a driver that, like you say, Madalinas, who is typically kind of trying to use the same lane all the time.
Yeah, this track is definitely, it looks symmetrical, but it is anything but. 3 and 4 is an entirely different ball game than 1 and 2. We're watching on the back bumper here, or I should say back window, of Hunter Madalinas. He's looking back at that battle for second. Tony Mangi's gotten a little bit of a move on as of recently. He has moved his way up into third and is all over the back bumper of Elliot Henderson. Mangi, another driver who he's had a decent season, but he hasn't been able to come away with a win yet, so we'll see what he can do here at Iowa.
Yeah, up 8 spots already. Just kind of, I think for some of these drivers, you hit the right lanes on both of those on the initial start and then the restart. That can give you a great chance to get a jump and gain a couple spots, but also just being fast overall too. So staying close. Ooh, jump getting a little bit close to the wall there off of 2.
Yeah, I think he might have tagged the wall, and that's going to let Christian Peterson move down the inside and shuffle his way up towards the 4th position, but Jump is actually going to hold it out of turn number 4 and keep the spot. The door is actually opened up for Matthew Weeks as well. So those two championship contenders going at it down into turn 1, but no one so far has had anything for Hunter Madalinas, who currently sits 6 car lengths in front of the field.
Yeah, you talked about, there's a moment where Peterson's trying to get around Jump, and then he loses a spot. That's happening probably even back here where these drivers, you get side by side with somebody and then you lose another spot because you can't get back in line. It's yeah, a little bit of a train that can sometimes pass you if you get out of line or get in a lane that's not the one that's moving currently.
Saw Matt Durr hanging it out on the high side, got through the bumps a little bit there in 1 and 2, but he got the run on Robin and is up into, I want to say that's P18, yeah, so now he's trying to run down Lewis Woodall and try to do the same to him. Durr, one of the drivers, moving up to that high line early, as are a couple others throughout the field. Tony Mangi, really among them. He's running that middle line through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Take a look at that, by the way. Matt Durr all the way up on the high side through 1 and 2. Generally, people try to avoid that for the bumps, but Matt Durr rode those bumps like a champ, and now he's going to the inside of Lewis Woodall for 17th.
Yeah, give him a great run off of 2. That's yeah, I think that's an option. You can kind of, if you go far enough high up there, you almost avoid the bumps altogether. But it can be a little sketchy up there for sure. I think I like it more in 3 and 4. Sometimes you can kind of get that huge run off of 4 and use that front stretch to gain some ground on whoever you're racing.
It's weird to say, but sometimes the bumps can almost help your car. If you're feeling a little bit tight, the way those bumps kind of jolt your car, they can kind of shove you down into the turn and help you get a little bit of turn out of the car. So sometimes the bumps can even be helpful. We're starting to see that maybe a little bit tonight. Right now we're watching Jared Darling and Will Barbagelata, a playoff driver battling a non-playoff driver for P7. Darling trying to work over the 27 truck. Not able to do it there. Side by side behind as well, Terrell Baker working his way up towards the 10 of Hunter Brittle. They're going to stay single file into 1 as Brittle tries to get to the back bumper of Shane Neiswanger. He'll have a nice run here coming out of turn number 2. Watch for a move into 3, but Brittle's going to stay in line. Interesting paint scheme there on that number 10 truck. Looks like a Dale Earnhardt Waffle House truck. Very interesting.
That's a great combo. I mean, can't complain about either of those. But he's got a closed sign on the back. I don't know if a Waffle House is closed or what. But yeah, it's cool to also see some of the pink paint schemes that Great Lakes does during October. It's awesome to see the pink themes going. But Yeah, it's another situation here of a couple drivers. The 8, Baker, he's been moving up 12 spots since the start, and that's kind of got stuck now watching Nicewanger and Brittle kind of battle it out.
Watch that late apex line out of the 8 truck. He entered way high, cut low through the corner, and that gave him a huge run down the back straightaway. Terrell Baker going to drive it off into turn number 3, and that's going to give him the spot. Terrell Baker up into the top 10. He'll slam the door on Hunter Brittle.
Yeah, I think
Great move by Terrell.
A chance there. Brittle was going to maybe try to pass him back, but I think early on in the race, you just kind of know it's best to follow. And
Michael Senzi making a pass as well as Tony Mangi's trying to work over Elliot Henderson for second. Henderson running the high line, using the momentum to keep that spot for now, so Mangi's going to have to fall back in line. That's one of the things about Iowa. You really got to be on that high line to make a pass. If you can get to someone's outside, it can be a lot easier than getting to someone's inside.
Yeah, and I think this 24 truck, obviously used, got himself up multiple positions from where he started back in 11th, and so yeah, it's a fast-moving truck already early on. You wonder if he used up his stuff or if he was able to just hit those restarts right, but yeah, kind of stalking Henderson here, trying to figure out a way by him.
Hunter Brittle, I've been watching him the past couple of laps. He has been getting really loose. He lost another position to Zach Henry on the last lap, and he is continuing to fight that race truck. Out of turn number 4 seems to be the trouble spot. He gets a little bit loose again, so watch for Michael Senzi to close up on him. One truck caught the wall behind. I believe that was the 44 of Matt Durr. Side by side for 4th, Nathan Jump on the outside of Matthew Weeks, looking to continue his charge towards the front of the field. Jump on the high side, holds a nice line. I believe he'll have the run again out of turn number 4 if he doesn't tag the wall. Weeks doing a good job keeping him honest on the inside, but that momentum is just too much to contend with.
Yeah, and we're getting to the point now, 30 laps into this race, so although we were slowed once for caution, the tires are wearing to a point you're, about a second or so off of your top speed from early in the run. So definitely a different truck compared to what you started on, and that can, kind of, give some of these drivers an advantage. Maybe give some of them a little bit more of a tougher situation.
And the track is definitely starting to change as well. I mean, as different lines get hotter, we're kind of seeing guys move around a little bit. Manji, one of the drivers, going up high, as is Nathan Jump. But I believe if you look at your race leader here, Hunter Madalinas, he is glued to that bottom line. He's got no reason to give it up. He continues to lead on lap 34 of 200. The real battle is behind him for second.
Yeah, I think just a tenth or two faster on some of these laps when some of these guys have been battling for these 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th spots. But yeah, we'll see. Manji gets a little bit of a run here. He's done this the last couple laps here, getting a run on the front stretch, but doesn't really have a place to go.
Pretty much everyone is moving up to the high side now, especially in 3 and 4, and that's about par for the course here at Iowa. Tony Manji gets another run out of turn number 2, trying to take another swing at Elliot Henderson. He'll go all the way up to the wall as Henderson goes on the low line to defend. Watch what happens out of turn number 4. Manji gonna have a big run. Gets a little bit loose. Not able to take advantage of it there, so he'll stay behind Henderson as they go into turn 1. Manji again looking high. We'll see how high he pushes it.
Yeah, and Elliot's doing a really good job, especially in 3 and 4, kind of just, keeping the speed up on the bottom to a point that Manji, and now Elliot's going to jump up to the top where he's running. And it's kind of given Manji no way to he's too far back to really make that run work. So it's brought Jump into the corner here, or at least close to them here, entering 1 and 2.
Yeah, Manji's been struggling a little bit as of recent, especially in 1 and 2. Nathan Jump getting on his back bumper. Meanwhile, here comes Michael Senzi on the inside of Hunter Brittle. That battle is for 12th. Senzi has the advantage for now. He'll drive it off into turn number 3. And on the inside, Michael Senzi going to clear Hunter Brittle and move his way. Ooh, a little bit close there out of turn number 4. Senzi really trying to shut the door on Brittle. He got the pass done, but that got sketchy for just a second. Points as they run on the bottom left of your screen, and you see Hunter Madalinas has gotten that advantage out to a 17-point lead.
Yeah, it's a we'll have to see what happens with some of these drivers. You get to a point where we saw Brittle give way earlier on. In that situation there, Senzi was maybe hoping that Brittle would check up a little bit or exit the corner a little bit slower to kind of give him the spot, and it was close. But yeah, now you got the 5 to his inside here, exiting 2.
Barbagelata now trying to get down the inside of the 1 truck of Jared Darling. Darling on the high side, going to hold him off for now. One thing I want to talk about, by the way, is Brett Kincott. He has not really had a good season. He's been involved in a lot of wrecks, honestly, but tonight putting up a solid top 15 run. So far, so good for the driver of the number 5 truck. Barbagelata going to lose a lot of momentum there out of turn number 2. Shane Nicewonger going to jump to his outside. He's going to try and take the spot, and I think he'll have enough of a run off of turn 4 to take it. So there it is. Move Shane Nicewonger up into P8. The battle for second is heating up as well. Tony Manji has gained some ground on Elliot Henderson. He took a swing at it last time by, wasn't able to do anything on the inside, so he'll try and line up another run. 5 trucks under a blanket here for P2.
Yeah, and you know that when you get kind of a line of trucks behind one, it probably means that the one that's maybe a tenth or 2 slower is the one leading the group. So Henderson's holding on. He's doing a great job of being able to hold off Manji. Now Manji is inside. This is probably the closest he's been to clearing him.
Manji going to squeeze Henderson up the track. Henderson going to run out of room on the high side, but here comes Nathan Jump on the bottom. 3 wide for second. Manji playing bully ball with the number 37. More contact down the front straightaway, but I think Manji, if he can just slide up into turn 1, he'll have it. Yes, sir. Right rear is good on the number 24. He can move up now. Move Tony Manji up in a second.
We'll see. Henderson's going to jump back down to the inside now. I thought his truck was working really well down there early on in this run. You could see, yeah, that outside lane. Now Manji has a way around him to just use that momentum, and he's going to bring Jump right to his outside.
I don't think Henderson's too happy with the 24 truck. He's taken a couple swings at it here. I gotta imagine that the way Manji raced him maybe wasn't too pleasing to Henderson, but unfortunately Henderson doesn't have the tires to fight. He's falling back again with Nathan Jump on his inside.
Yeah, and I think Henderson probably knows that once the 24 would get around him, he's going to be in trouble with these other trucks that have just kind of been waiting. And yeah, you kind of get impatient with each other because you want to almost use the same lanes or use the same arc in some of these corners, and it can be pretty frustrating at times.
Yeah, there's definitely a fight for real estate here at Iowa. Nathan Jump gonna clear the 37 of Henderson. Henderson wasn't too happy with that. Gave him a bit of a shot in the right rear, and that'll open up the door for Matthew Weeks to go down the inside. So Elliot Henderson losing positions hand over fist as we work lap 46. This battle for second starting to explode just a little bit.
Yeah, and I thought that 24 would get clear here and kind of drive away, but even Jump getting by him here is, oh, and there goes Weeks!
Matthew Weeks! Sliding out of turn number 4, he'll go to the inside grass. He saves it, but the championship hopes for Matthew Weeks just took a big shot.
Yeah, and with no yellow because of just a big slide there. It was a nice save, and I give him a ton of credit for saving that. It'd be really easy for a driver to just kind of spin that out, do a lazy spin to hope you get a caution, but held on to it and is able to continue on. But yeah, that was a heck of a save, at least to lock it down, get through the grass, and get back on track.
Definitely a good save, but you got to wonder if he's wishing he did just spin it out. No caution for that slide. We stay green, and Matthew Weeks is all the way outside the top 12. Wonder if it was just a little bit of air coming off the left front of Elliot Henderson that just got him a little bit loose. Speaking of Henderson, he's in a Loctite battle for 4th. Christian Peterson on his inside, trying to move his way past the 37 through 1 and 2. Peterson's got a nice turn through the center. Henderson going to fight back on the high side, but I think Peterson's got it down into 3. Nice drive into the corner, and Christian Peterson is up into 4th.
Yeah, we've seen from this group of 4 or 5 lots of big moments, but Peterson's just kind of been the quiet one of the group, just kind of waiting for it to sort out, and now kind of gaining his spots around the 37. Gonna see what he has for the 24 and 41 here after he's been kind of just following in their footsteps.
Yeah, Christian Peterson definitely the type to just kind of let the race come to him. Manji is now under fire a little bit from Nathan Jump. I gotta wonder if Jump is maybe pushing it a little harder than Manji. Relative to the leader last time by, Manji took about a half a tenth of a second out of Madalinas' lead, so maybe at this point in the race they are a little bit faster. Madalinas did get out to quite a big lead, but I don't think it'll be enough for them to really run him down.
Yeah, about a little over 2/3 of the way through this fuel run too, so we're not too far away from pit stops. You know, I think you probably want to go as far as you can, because if you do pit, you're probably going to lose a lap, and if a caution comes out, you're going to be in big trouble. That's something we love, though. We would love the fact that they have to go to the far end of these tires, and you're seeing them slide around with what they have left right now.
Well, you want to go long, but at the same time, you don't want to go too long. I mean, the problem at Iowa is that it's so hard to pass. If you undercut somebody, you might be able to hold that spot for the rest of the run, regardless of how bad the tire wear is. Three-way battle on track here. Eric Kepf, Matt Durr, and Jackson Sims all under a blanket as they go into turn number 3. Kepf holds the lead out of that group for now, but here comes Durr with a big run on the high side. Gonna shove the 63 down into turn number 3. Kep's going to cut off the high line. That'll put Durr kind of in a box between the 6 and the 63 out of turn number 4. Sims has a nice run on Matt Durr down the front straightaway. What can he do with it in turn 1?
And it's so hard to get that thing, that truck to turn, kind of on the bottom there, especially on older tires right now. And yeah, that top lane it's so easy to kind of hold somebody off and kind of play defense. And the 6 here is going to almost try to bump the 44 a little bit. Trying anything.
Yeah, really close racing here for 16th. A lot of the action at Iowa coming further back in the pack as Madalinas continues to drive away up front. Look behind them, Lewis Woodall under attack as well from Nicholas Caressel. We saw Caressel qualify quite well, but he kind of dropped back early on. Right now he's battling with the 13 to move his way up into 18th.
Yeah, and you think
Caressel
about
gets
this,
clear out of the corner.
You think about this this action that we're seeing in the mid pack of the field is something that if we're able to get to a green flag pit stop and get back out on track, you're going to have a lot of drivers. Some of our leaders are going to be in this mess potentially. You know, fighting lap traffic. Because looks like we're going to have Lewis Woodall be the first to pit road.
Lewis Woodall comes down around lap 57, so that'll likely be setting him up for a, I want to say that'll be a 3-stop strategy. This plus 2 more to get him to the end of the race. And yeah, to your point, I mean, lap traffic can definitely be a problem here at Iowa because it's so hard to pass. And, you know, it's easy enough to pass drivers that you're much faster than, but a lot of these leaders aren't that much faster than a lot of the guys in the back of the field.
And it's interesting now to see kind of like Peterson. We talked about how he was kind of just, you know, riding back there, following these guys as they sorted out the second position, and now wrapping the bottom, which is really impressive to see. That a lot of these trucks have to go to the top because that's kind of their only way to keep momentum up on these older tires. But Peterson's doing a great job of just rolling the bottom. Kind of must have saved his stuff enough. He's going to clear jump here for the 3rd spot.
Unfortunate to say, but you get the feeling that the way to be really elite in these trucks is that ability that Peterson and Madalinas have to just run the same line over and over and over again to a T. You know, there's definitely something to be said for being able to be versatile, but at the same time, it seems like the guys that win are the ones that are able to just stick on the bottom as good as they can for the whole race. That's what Peterson's been doing, that's what Madalinas has been doing, and I think in a couple laps here, they're going to be 1-2.
And it'll be interesting to see if... oh, we got a yellow.
Caution on track, and I believe it is... I haven't found him yet, but I'll let you know when we do.
13 potentially of Lewis Woodall. Hey, we just saw him on pit road.
It's on the access road.
I think,
yeah, it was Lewis Woodall.
Looked like at least when the caution came out, he was by himself. Obviously, fresh tires. Who knows what was happening here? We'll check the replay. I imagine trying to make up some ground.
Yeah, he just got loose there in 3 and 4. So the exit of turn 4 catching out drivers yet again. I have a feeling it was cold tires. You know, you come out of the pits, the car drives a little different for a couple of laps, and looks like it just caught out the driver to the 13.
Yeah, and it looks like the rest of the field, we kind of knew this was going to happen. Everybody down pit road. This will be probably 4 tires for everybody. Not much difference in strategies when a caution comes out right as the drivers were thinking about coming down pit road for green flag pit stops.
So the field comes down pit road. Probably going to be 4 tires and fuel for everybody. We'll monitor the race off. This is definitely a big break for the 56 of Matthew Weeks and a nice little reset for the 71 of Christian Peterson. He did not get a lot of practice time in. Not sure if that was his own accord or maybe he had something else to do, but he has basically had the first 60 laps now to practice and get some laps under his belt. Now he'll get to line up second with his championship adversary.
Yeah, and the 56 of Matthew Weeks, he kind of even cued the mic and said that he needed that slide that he did battling up in the top 5 with those front runners. We talked about it. It pushed him back beyond the top 10. I think he was running 14th. And yeah, he keyed up the mic and said that he needed that yellow, and that's going to at least give him a reset. It still doesn't have the track position, but obviously kind of a nice opportunity to kind of try to get back up into that top 10 here.
Lucky break for Lewis Woodall as well. He did bring out the caution, but by staying out under this yellow flag, he will get the wave around and go back on the lead lap, so we will have all 29 of our starters on the lead lap as we get ready to restart on lap 64 of 200. Like I said, a long race here tonight. We're not even halfway through, and already a lot has happened here at Iowa.
Yeah, and I think, we talked about the strategy here. I think you can go close to 70 laps, maybe even a little bit farther than that on a tank of fuel. So, in this situation right here, if they're, we just had kind of a long green flag run, could we see these drivers with, just under 140 to go? You cut that in half. Could you potentially make it on just one more stop here? So I think there'll be a lot of drivers that wish they could do 2 stops, and maybe somebody tries that. But yeah, I think that right now, the window that they're going to be in, they almost have to run long to see where that next caution falls in case it doesn't.
Well, I'm seeing a fuel run is about 72 laps, and we have just about 140 laps to go. So, hey, a little bit of fuel saving and a little bit of going long could get these drivers to the end on just one more stop. The target for that is going to be just around lap 130. Maybe 135. So we'll monitor that if we go green that long. I want to give a shout out as well to Brent Kingcott. Again, he's maintained his good run from this race, currently sitting in the 12th position. Been definitely a very down season for the number 5 truck, but a highlight tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It's a track that, like we talked about, is a driver's track, and I think some of these drivers, we've had a lot of them that have been lobbying for Iowa to be on the schedule here for Great Lakes, and it's a track that sometimes does give drivers that maybe are more experienced with it, or at least it fits their style better, and you can kind of see some of these drivers that are maybe getting a good run tonight because it's a track that they love so much.
It's definitely a weird track. One of those tracks where the best drivers at other places don't necessarily come to Iowa and dominate the same way they would somewhere else. But that's kind of the nature of the beast when you're dealing with a track that's so bumpy, multi-groove, kind of weirdly shaped. And honestly, I'm a big fan of it. Definitely good to shake things up every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure. It's will be interesting to see here now. Like you said, this is kind of a reset for Peterson. He was able to get up here to race Madalinas now after starting kind of middle of the top 10, and to be able to restart up here, we'll see how it goes and see if he can stick with that 7.
We'll have to see how it shakes out. Pace truck down pit road, this time by your championship rivals on the front row. We are back green at Iowa. Great restart for both your top 2. Peterson almost hangs with the 7 truck as we go down into turn 1.
And that one of Jared Darling kind of almost spun the tires maybe, or at least didn't get in gear right away. That kind of gave the front 4 a chance to get away.
Yeah, Darling dropped back just a little bit. He'll be under fire out of turn number 3. 3 wide for a moment with Barbagelata and Nicewonger. That'll settle back down nicely as they dart down towards turn number 1. Barbagelata trying to make up some ground on the high side. Darling trying to defend his positions a little bit. He's opening up the corner exits a little bit more than everyone else, and that's just killing his run down the straightaways. Meanwhile, Nathan Jump sends one down the inside of Tony Manji for 3rd.
Yeah, we saw the first two starts, the initial start and the restart, where second, third, fourth, they were side by side for multiple laps. To see them kind of get single file here all the way now to sixth, it'll be interesting to see if maybe that will give us an opportunity for at least maybe keep Madalenas in tow here, at least keep them close to the pack, because these guys are now all kind of I don't want to say they're riding, but at least a little bit more of a smoother start rather than having to battle right off the green flag.
Well, that doesn't seem to be the case further back. There are drivers fanning out 2 and 3 wide. A lot of the field has gotten back down to single file now, but take a look at Nicholas Caressel side by side with Matthew Weeks. Weeks trying to make up ground, but hasn't gotten very far. And take a look at this. They're going to go 3 wide almost here in turns 3 and 4. That'll file back out, but Matthew Weeks stuck in traffic. He has not moved forward yet. Caressel to the bottom, 3 wide into turn number 1.
Yeah, we saw Caressel, early start. He was kind of moving around some lanes, but the biggest thing I noticed was it was a great qualifying run. So definitely maybe a fast, short run pace that he can bring in that 40 truck. So yeah, Weeks now is going to finally kind of settle it out here and maybe try to pick off some of these drivers to get back into that top 10.
Jackson Sims will be next on his list. Behind them, Spencer Owens side by side with Matt Durr. Owens around the high side, going to get that spot down the back straightaway, so Owens up into 17th. It has been a rough night for that playoff driver. Spencer Owens came into this race at the bottom half of the playoff standings and isn't looking to improve too much, unfortunately.
It's interesting to see these drivers that are now kind of fresh life with these 4 tires, maybe trying to gain some spots back that they lost on that longer run here.
Weeks is grabbing a couple more. Weeks is grabbing a couple more. He's past Jackson Sims for 13th, now working the inside of the 92 of Michael Senzi. Off into turn number 1, Weeks on the low line again. He's been kind of diving into the corners, trying to cut that entry down just a little bit. Senzi not eager to give up the spot just yet. We're kind of seeing here how non-playoff drivers are racing playoff drivers about as aggressively as they would anybody else. Through 3 and 4, though, Weeks going to have a nice drive on the bottom. I think he'll almost be clear out of turn 4. He should have the pass done through 1 and 2.
Yeah, you get to this point here, you can kind of just slide up in front of them and take the spot. But yeah, it's nice to see these drivers kind of race these playoff drivers with some respect, but also race them hard. It's still a race, and they have every right to go out there and try to get a good run.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their own agenda. Just because you're not, just because you're taking away points from a playoff driver doesn't mean you're not gaining points for yourself. Keep in mind, there's still a lot to fight for here. Drivers fighting to be locked into every race. I believe that's top 20. Drivers just trying to get a better points finish. I mean, there's definitely all kinds of reasons to race for more spots here.
I'll see if Weeks here can get around the 5 truck. It looks like he's going to get to the inside of King Cott here and maybe make easy work of him through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Weeks got another one off his list. Meanwhile, Elliot Henderson fighting with Will Barbagelata for 7th. Henderson looked on the bottom of 1 and 2. Now he'll look on the outside of 3 and 4. Barbs pulls away a little bit, but he's going to get loose off the corner and might open up the door just a little bit for Henderson.
Yeah, Henderson.
Big dive out of the 37 truck.
That last run we talked about how he was kind of holding up the top, second through 5th. They were running second, and then kind of got passed by all those guys, but lost a couple more spots here with Darling, Nicewanger, and Barbagelata getting around him through that the pit stop exchange. So it's yeah, definitely for anyone that caution really hurt. It probably was Henderson, though we thought maybe he needed the reset. He lost some track position.
Kind of a weird statement here, but Iowa is one of those tracks where it is hard to pass, but very easy to get past. If you get out of position, I mean, you're just along for the ride at that point. You can get freight trained so easily here as we got a 3-way battle for 12th. Brent Kingcott holds the spot for now, but watch out for Caressel and Senzi behind. Matthew Weeks, meanwhile, has another one up on his list. That's Terrell Baker. He'll go to the inside of the 8 truck and cross another one off, so Matthew Weeks up into the top 10.
Yeah, we were wondering how long it would take him to get back to the top 10. Not as long as I thought it would. Just a really nice job of running the bottom and just kind of picking them off 1 lap at a time.
Definitely slow and methodical work here by the 56, but that's how you got to get it done here at Iowa. Will Barber-Gelata's under fire again. Elliot Henderson took a swipe at him to the inside, and he got it. So Henderson's up into 7th, but Barbs is cooking up a crossover. They're side-by-side into turn number 3. Barber-Gelata on the inside, but that's not a good spot to be in through that corner. I think Elliot Henderson's going to have the run off the high side down the front straightaway. Yes, sir, he's got it. Elliot Henderson up into and staying in 7th.
Yeah, that right behind them is the 12 of Henry. He's kind of somewhat been quiet tonight, just moving his way up through the field, up 9 spots from his starting position. And now on the back bumper of Barber-Gelata, Weeks is right there now too.
Matthew Weeks pulling up into this battle. Zach Henry, another playoff driver who's had a pretty quiet chase so far. A couple of highlights, a couple of lowlights here and there. I believe he sits just about 5th in the standings. Right now he's trying to get 8th from Will Barber-Gelata, who just lost a spot to Elliot Henderson. So Barbs might be one of those drivers who's kind of on the defense, trying not to lose too many spots here, as Senzi and Caressel going at it for 13th. That'll give a little bit of insurance to Brent Kingcott in front of them.
And we've seen Cressel kind of using whatever lane everyone isn't, whether it's way up top or way on the bottom. Right now running the top here, kind of trying to get the momentum. It's going to get tight here.
Nearly got squeezed into the outside wall by the 5 truck, and that battle in front of them is still going on. Barber-Gelata on the outside of Henry is going to hold the spot. That'll put Henry in a very vulnerable position to the 56 as Matthew Weeks going to go for one on the outside for a little bit of a change of pace through 1 and 2. Weeks holds that spot nicely. Going to get the power down out of turn 2. He'll be up into 9th.
I think if a driver in front of you kind of makes a mistake enough that you can get to their outside, then you know it's an easy pass. If you can get to their outside, you probably can keep the momentum up and just pass them right away. So I think a lot of times we've seen Weeks, we've seen Peterson, these drivers that are running the bottom to make the pass. I think that's just because that's the only way they can, because the defense that you can play running the top is an option. So if you can get to the outside, that's probably the way to pass, but it's just so tough to get up there.
Yeah, definitely getting to the outside. I mean, it's tough just logistically, you know. You get to the inside of someone pretty easily, but if you move to their outside, well, there's a wall right there waiting for you. So you kind of got to catch him in the middle of the corner, kind of like Senzi did right there. Just imagine he was setting up a pass on Caressel instead of trying to hold on to that spot. That battle has been going on for quite a few laps now. It's for 13th. Caressel's been on the low line trying to make something happen, but Senzi has not budged.
Austin Moore's going to probably try the inside of the 40 here of Caressel. Trying to make that work. Not much there when you're not really close enough to maybe try to be side by side off the corner.
Austin Moore, another driver having a solid race right now, up inside the top 15.
I think one of those, like we talked about early in the race, a guy that was moving up early on, now kind of since this last restart kind of just plateaued a little bit, running like you say 15th. Yeah, a lot of these drivers now kind of single file, kind of maybe seeing what they got as far as knowing what that last long run did. You might want to save a little bit more because you know how much you suffered on that last long run. So we'll see if we get that long run here, how these drivers maybe have changed their approach to saving.
No such battle for the lead to speak of just yet, but that 5/10 gap has been about consistent for this whole run. Peterson will eat away at it a little bit, and then it'll go back up. So I'm interested to see what happens here as the run continues, but for the lead as they stand, it's just about 4/10 even. We got about 45 laps left on this run, and so far Peterson and Madalinas have both been hugging that bottom line.
Yeah, so one.
So I was just going to say, you can see on the points there on the left-hand side of your screen, there's only 13 points between these two drivers. So a reversal of positions here. If Peterson can get around the 7 truck, would definitely mean a lot to the championship.
Yeah, we talked about, kind of running the bottom, and it's interesting to see how Madalinas is kind of bottom in 3 and 4. Peterson maybe a little bit higher and tries to get to the bottom off of 4. And then it's almost kind of the opposite in 1 and 2 for the two drivers. Like, it seems like Madalinas maybe runs a little bit higher than Peterson has been in 1 and 2. Peterson does a really good job of really kind of getting to the bottom late in the corner. I think kind of to point the car, to point that truck off the corner to get that run. And meanwhile, you got Manji who's back in third, not letting these guys get away, and he's running pretty much up towards the wall. So interesting to see that kind of working and staying at least in touch with our leaders.
You get the feeling that Peterson is just having to try a little bit harder to keep up with Madalinas. Madalinas is very disciplined, kind of a consistent arc throughout the corner, whereas Peterson is kind of forcing it down to the bottom on exit. And that's very interesting to me because for a while this season, it looked like Peterson had sort of the automatic upper hand. He always seemed to be just one up on Madalinas when all went well. But I think in recent weeks, we've seen Madalinas really kick up the wick. And he's been dominant throughout this chase.
Yeah, we early on in the season we saw so many of those races with Peterson and his teammates, and I know Elliott with a big slide off of 2 there, where the teammates were up there second and third with him, and as they have maybe kind of gone back as far as their running order in a lot of these races, maybe that's been kind of the other side to Peterson, where the overall as a team working together, trying to learn these tracks or remind themselves of how to run these tracks when they come up on the schedule, that they're maybe just losing a little bit of pace compared to what they had earlier in the season.
We got a big battle going on behind. Barbara Gelato's on the inside of Brett and Kingcott. They were 3 wide momentarily in 1 and 2. Kingcott working the outside of the 27 truck. He's actually moving forward. Kingcott's been very sort of defensive this whole run, but I think it might be paying off in terms of his tire wear because he is now on offense for the first time tonight. Take a look at this. He's on the outside of Will Barbagelata, and he'll have a nice run here coming out of turn number 2.
Yeah, it's awesome to see these trucks use all these lanes and basically kind of be glued to each other, trying to make something work.
I wonder if this track maybe just suits Kingcott's driving style a lot more than some of the other tracks we've seen this season. I think back to Pocono when he had quite the disastrous races. They're going to go 3 wide again into turn number 3. Senzi on the inside, Barbagelata in the middle. Barb's in a good spot here. He might actually get the best drive out of the corner out of all of them. Kingcott going to stay side by side, but he lost a little bit of ground there. But like I was saying, you think back to Pocono, Kingcott had quite a disastrous race there, and I got to wonder if maybe Pocono's a little bit more get up on the wheel, be aggressive, whereas Iowa, you can kind of lay back and be a little bit more disciplined. I wonder if that's where some of his strengths lie.
Yeah, it's interesting how we see the 27 got by him, and Senzi, we saw a couple times they're trying to make it 3 wide. I think he was almost showing them that, like, I'll do it. I'll go 3 wide if you guys want, but maybe hoping that one of them would make a mistake because of that or something. But yeah, sometimes you can kind of show your hand a little bit and act like you're gonna go 3 wide, and both times he kind of fell in behind those 2.
Well, one of the hardest things to deal with at Iowa, or really any track where it's hard to pass, is when the 2 drivers in front of you get side by side, you're blocked in. You can't go anywhere. I mean, you might want to get around one of them. You might be faster than both of them, but unless you're going to send it 3 wide and take them both in a corner, it can be really difficult to pick them off.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these trucks now even sliding off of turn 2 a lot more. Exiting the corner, trying to get back to the gas. You're trying to find any way to get a little bit more momentum, and you get greedy sometimes and maybe get to the gas a little too early or a little too hard.
We are halfway home officially, working lap 101 of 200. Hunter Madalinas has been dominant from the beginning. I think he's led every lap so far. Peterson sits a 2.5 back with Tony Manji 2.5 back.
Since he's going to have a nice run here, kind of stalled out a little bit in the middle of the straightaway, but at least going to be to the inside of Kingcott here.
Battle for 8th going on as well while we're looking at this. Zach Henry working up the inside of Elliott Henderson. Henderson's lost a good number of spots since this restart. Got to wonder if his truck is a little bit more suited to short runs here. Big wiggle out of turn number 4. It's going to let Henry pull even more even on the inside line. I guess even more even isn't really a thing. They were even. They're still even. Henry gets a nice drive out of turn number 2. He'll have the run. Henderson's at his quarter panel. I think into 3, Henry's going to have it. Not quite. Henderson is still there. Yeah, not quite. Henderson puts up a good fight. Henry gets loose out of the corner. And the 37 truck's going to live to fight another day. Meanwhile, look behind. Brett Kincott just jumped out of line on Michael Senzi, who finally got that pass done. Senzi's now working the outside with Kincott on the inside. Roles reversed for these two.
And it's interesting to see, you know, Senzi has been pretty smart about it. We talked about the trying to go 3 wide, but kind of just let this play out, and now he's got some clean track in front of him. See if he can get back to the 27 of Barber Gelada, who he caught when they were battling and when he was battling with Kincott. Kressel's going to get by the 5 on the outside and see if the 6 of Sims can do the same.
Looking like a 3-wide battle here. Caressel sideways out of turn number 4. He'll get loose again. All the way down to the apron. He saves it, but he's going to have to give up that spot to Jackson Sims, and it puts him in a really bad angle into the corner. Might allow Kincott to slip around the outside as well. Caressel out of turn number 2. Tries to shut the door, but Kincott splits the gap on the outside, and now he'll be side by side with the 40 into turns 3 and 4. Kincott actually falling off a little bit here. He lost the position to Sims and might lose another one to Caressel here. Caressel is getting a little bit too loose to hang on.
Yeah,
Matthew Weeks, by the way, has gotten around Elliot Henderson and is now on the back bumper of Shane Neiswanger, so his recovery drive after his mistake earlier in this race is continuing.
Yeah, oh, and Darling just one of those slides off the corner there is going to bring him right to the front bumper of Neiswanger here. He's going to look to the outside. This is going to get tight here.
Darling shut the door, but just barely. Neiswanger pushed a little harder and cracked that door open into turn number 3. So Neiswanger looking to get around the outside of Darling. Weeks looking to get around the outside of both of them. You got to imagine on raw pace, Weeks is probably the fastest based on what we saw earlier this race. Shane Neiswanger, big drive into turn number 1, but he can't slide up in front of Darling. Now he will. Neiswanger feeds him a right rear. Darling has to check up out of the corner. They'll stay side by side, and Weeks is in a great spot. Another big drive by Neiswanger into turn 3. He'll slide up again.
And a really great run here for Neiswanger, who's, you know, definitely has the pace to run up front here. He was looking back at our results from the last race. He was a pole sitter here earlier this year at this race at Iowa, and so definitely has some speed here, and cracking the top 5 finally, and now Weeks trying to get around Darling is that's a nice recovery really for him to be able to. We talked about how hard it is to pass, to now be looking for that 6th spot.
Speaking of passing, Terrell Baker is looking to get his way past the 37 of Elliot Henderson. As just as we cut away, by the way, Matthew Weeks made his way around the 1 of Jared Darling. Did that with a nice send into turn 1 and was just able to slot in line. Big gaggle of cars, though, through 3 and 4. The lap truck of Blair Neobone on the high side. That's going to get close out of the corner, and Terrell Baker is spinning into the grass. He'll loop it back around, goes around once, twice, almost a 3rd time. He saves it and keeps going. No caution because it was off track. We stay green.
Yeah, and it's just a product of, I think the 64 maybe got the wall a little bit, and it maybe kind of almost I think the 37 Elliot Henderson, I think he was just making sure that the lap truck had room, and it kind of got down, and he got down into the 8.
Yeah, you see Henderson just had to take evasive action trying to get away from the 64 and just body slammed the number 8 truck, who went down into the grass for a couple of pirouettes, but was able to keep it going. Back live, the battle for 5th is raging on. Shane Neiswanger and Matthew Weeks are going at it. We're going to take a look at one more replay, but Weeks is on the inside of Neiswanger, trying to make up a little bit of ground here out of turn number 2. Neiswanger is going to have the pull down the back straightaway. Weeks is going to have to slot in line, live to fight another day.
Yeah, and it's interesting how a lot of these trucks are now, you know, kind of going almost all the way to the top. Those 3 there that we're battling, we're all running the top lane through 3 and 4. As here we got Barber Gelada's going to try to get around the 37 of Henderson.
Barber Gelada's been on the move just a little bit this run. He'll move up into 9th. Henderson falls back another spot. Weeks again on the inside of Shane Neiswanger. Both of them looked a little bit choked up out of the corner. The Darling almost brought back into the fray, but not quite. Working lap 116 of 200, and we should be seeing pit stops in just about 10 laps.
And I think our magic number is going to be, you know, like you said, maybe 125 would be on the outside run where you could make it. Looking at, you know, a 70 to 75 lap run, I think that'd be a tall task, but something that I think is achievable. I think that the toughest part will be, you talked about it in the first run when we were talking about the potential of green flag pit stops, of trying to short pit and try to get those tires on right away. When the window is pretty much set here, it's going to make it where a lot of these drivers won't have a lot of opportunity to maybe try something different on getting tires either early or later than the rest of the field.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like on one hand, you want to pit just a little bit early because even a one-lap undercut can give you a good amount of track position, but if you pit too early, you're not going to have enough fuel to make it to the end, so it's going to be a bit of a balancing act here as we head into the final stint of this race. Matthew Weeks, he's trying to balance going for the 5th spot with wrecking off the corner. He got a little bit sideways there. So did Neiswanger, so that'll keep him even down the front straightaway. We'll see if Weeks can make it here into turns 1 and 2. He doesn't go for that much of a dive. In fact, he'll play it safe through the middle of the corner, and they'll come out side by side on top of each other down the back straightaway. Another drive into turn 3 by Weeks. He'll keep it in the middle this time, doesn't go all the way to the bottom. Just wraps that first seam, and he'll be clear out of turn number 4.
Munger kind of just following in his tire tracks now. It's probably knows that 56 is going to get him at some point and going to get away here probably. But yeah, nice, valiant effort to try to stay there and try to stay in that top 5. I know Shane probably wanted to stay in that position as long as he could.
Yeah, Neiswanger maybe starting to fall back a little bit. He's under attack from Jared Darling as well. Down the front straightaway, they'll go side by side. Darling doesn't quite go for the dive there in 1 and 2. He'll sort of just stay in the middle, cut down on exit. He'll keep those two side by side, but Darling gets a little bit loose on the power and has to settle to slot back in a line.
Yeah, I think the 49 even got the wall a little bit too. So both of these guys just holding on, but still trying to race each other for that 6th spot.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the sun is beating down on this track. It's a hot day out in Iowa. There's not a lot of grip on the track. Definitely can be a little bit sketchy to try and make some of these passes.
Yeah, and a shout out. We talked about a couple of these drivers that are you know, running up in the top 10, gaining some spots. Zach Henry's up 10 spots from where he started. Here he's looking for another one around Barber Gelato, which looks like maybe Barber Gelato just got by him. So move the 27 up to 8th.
Yeah, Barber Gelato just got by. You got a feeling he's doing nice on those tires. He's been moving forward these past couple of laps. Zach Henry moving in the opposite direction, so to speak. We've got about 75 laps to go now, 75, 76, depends on who you are on track. So we're getting closer to that magic number of fuel, but I still think at this point you wouldn't want to quite dive down pit road. If you can, I'd stay out just a little bit longer to try and get some more insurance for the end of this race.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see if you know, it's not a easy pit road to get down onto here. We'll see. You know, it's kind of abrupt by the time you come through the last corner there to get down. So, you know, green flag pit stop at any track is tough, and it's a big moment in these races. Sometimes drivers don't practice that. You know, it's kind of the last thing on their to-do list to practice maybe before the race starts, and some of them maybe didn't get a chance to. So, and then you're going to have fresh tires and old tires on track. It can be a little bit on pins and needles when that happens. So we'll see what happens when the stops start.
And not to mention, we're at the sketchiest point of the run. These tires are worn, the track is hot, and there's not a lot of fuel in the back of these trucks to weigh them down in the back end. So you got a loose truck, you got a light truck, there's a lot of things going on. Definitely don't discount the possibility of a caution around green flag pit stops.
Yeah, now we got Maji has been kind of chased down here by Jump, and Jump's going to get to the inside of him here, try to make this pass. I think we saw Manji trying to stick with those front two by running a little bit higher, and I think that's basically kind of burned up his stuff, and now he's fallen back to where the 41 was, who kind of fell off from those top three. Man, it's tight off of turn 2.
Gotta say though, Manji hasn't fallen off as much as I thought he would. I figured running the high line that hard the entire run would wear out his tires a little bit faster, but he's been doing a nice job. Right now up in third, fighting with Nathan Jump for that spot. Still only about 4.5 seconds back of the leaders. Not bad at all from Tony Manji. Jump is going to push him out of the way, though, and that'll move the 41 truck, defending champion, but not in the playoffs this year, up into third. Remember, a couple of weeks ago at New Hampshire, Nathan Jump played spoiler to Hunter Madalinas. He might be trying to do that again tonight.
Yeah, and we're at that window now. It's been 70 laps since the last time they were on pit road, 70 to go this next time by, so it's definitely, they should be able to make it, no problem. You know, if anything, that first 70, they had a lap or two under yellow, but looks like we're going to get another lap or two before anyone is able to hit pit road anyways. And yeah, I think you're going to see somebody here jump down right away. You might as well. I think some of these front runners that are worried about a caution coming out are going to run as long as they can, which might be just a couple more laps. But I think window's open. Let's see if anyone takes it.
I think because it's close on fuel, you're going to see a lot of people running decently long, but I wouldn't discount the possibility of a slight undercut here, maybe by 1 or 2 laps. I think at this point, you could probably make it to the end on fuel, so we'll just have to see who decides to bite first. Of course, people are also probably worried about a caution coming out and biting you like they did that first run with Lewis Woodall.
Looks like our first driver on pit road is the 6 of Jackson Sims. I was just kind of wondering if you're in a spot where you have multiple trucks in front of you and you're able to come down, like you talked, a lap or two early compared to the guys you're racing around. That's a huge advantage to be able to gain on them. It looks like the 63 is going to try to get to the bottom here, and Eric Kep is going to be
Matthew Weeks is in here. By the way. He sorry to cut you off, but Matthew Weeks, he's one of the drivers going for a little bit of an undercut here. He is in from 5th, so we'll see how that plays out for him. If anyone else reacts to that right away, Madalena stays out another lap, and Christian Peterson is in. But Christian Peterson is down pit road, first of your top 3. Nathan Jump follows him. Gotta imagine Hunter Madalenas is only about a lap away.
Yeah, and Madalenas is on the verge of having a bunch of lap traffic here, so I think that pitting here is in the next. He's going to make it one more lap at least. I think that a good opportunity to maybe just kind of get away from this lap traffic. He's gonna have to deal with them at some point, and I guess he'd rather maybe deal with them on fresher tires.
Well, I don't hate this call. He had a little bit of room to play with. I mean, 2 laps or 2 seconds, that's a good amount of insurance when it comes to protecting against an undercut. And this way, he'll also have 2 lap fresher tires towards the end of the race. So, not a bad call by Madalenas. He'll bring it in now 2 laps after Christian Peterson, along with the rest of the field. We got a traffic jam on pit road here.
Yeah, it almost looks like we're under caution with the amount of trucks on pit road. It'll be interesting to see. Madalenas is going to follow a lot of the back half of the field off of the pit road here. He was, just another probably 5 to 10 laps away from getting into the thick of lap traffic. So it'll be interesting, though, to see Peterson now making a couple laps on track. We'll see where he cycles through and if he's able to gain at all on Madalenas. And then get to the point here where we're going to have some lap traffic in this. So we'll see as Peterson's coming by the start-finish line now.
Madalenas is out of his box, so here's the race out of turn number 2. Peterson's going to be coming with a head of momentum. Madalenas is going to be coming with the track position, and I think Madalenas is going to hold the lead, but Peterson is a lot closer than he was a couple of laps ago. Madalenas is going to have lap trucks as well, so for a moment, the battle is on for the race lead. 0.2 of a second between your top 2. Can Peterson do anything?
We talked about you don't see a lot of mistakes out of Madalenas, but we talked about it earlier. Colder tires right off the start, so got him back heated up now. You can see Peterson was able to even gain a little bit, and now it's just a matter of working this lap traffic. Ooh, that's going to be tight there. That's going to really hold up Peterson. Might be tough to stick with those 2 lap fresher tires now.
for a quick moment of time. Peterson is going to have an advantage over Madalinas by having those tires up to temperature, but I think that moment is going to pass after these last two corners. So unless Madalinas makes any mistakes, I think it should be smooth sailing from here. Of course, Peterson could still outsave him, outdrive him throughout the rest of the run. But yeah, he wasn't really able to take advantage of that opportunity. Madalinas holds the lead by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, and like we talked about, that window was one that you didn't have a lot of options, but I still liked what Peterson did there. You're gonna, potentially at least try to scare the 7 into a mistake by closing up that gap. I think if another lap he would have been in front of him, which would have really probably made for an interesting battle. But yeah, now it's a matter of some of these other drivers having to deal with some lap traffic. They were as Weeks has now gotten up to 4th. What a nice, awesome recovery from him. He did a great job of just slowly working his way back into this.
Yeah, that undercut from Weeks is working out nicely for him. He is up in 4th, but unfortunately, not really in a position to take over any of his championship rivals. They're running 1 and 2. He is running down in 4th, but still, maximum points day for Matthew Weeks. I think that's about all he could ask for. 60 laps to go here at the Iowa Speedway. It's been all Hunter Madalena so far. He's got 0.5 of a second in hand over Christian Peterson.
Yeah, I think that the next point of kind of, potential issues, or at least a storyline, will be can we get to the end without a yellow? And I think with a lot of drivers on 2 different laps now, you're going to have some of these lead cars that are maybe getting a little bit more impatient with lap trucks. I think that lap trucks are also going to race pretty hard to try to stay on the lead lap, because if you do get a yellow, you might be able to salvage your day and still get a decent finish out of it. So yeah, we'll see if anything comes to boil here over the final 60 laps here.
And we have had an issue with Shane Neiswanger. He is currently 2 laps down. I'm checking the race events to try and figure out what happened to the driver of the number 49 truck. But he is currently 2 laps down and near the back of the field.
Spent about twice as much time on pit road, so I don't know. Was it a, pit road entry issue? We talked about that being a potential, thing that you have to worry about. Did he hit, a pit wall coming in and had to fix some damage or something? You wonder what could have potentially happened. A penalty of some kind, I don't know, to be on pit road another 40 seconds longer than a lot of your competitors. That kind of did him in.
Tony Mangi has gotten his way back around Matthew Weeks. He had slightly fresher tires than that number 24 truck. Than that number 56 truck. So for now, Mangi is up into 4th. A couple of points off the board for Matthew Weeks. Nothing major. We got a truck in the wall out of turn number 2. Blair Neabone catches the wall but keeps it going. Brett Pincott on his inside is going to get around that slower truck, but those two are on different laps. That is not for position.
Yeah, been a little bit of a struggle tonight for the 64 truck, but still on track, still running. We did have earlier on this race, Evan Snyder in the 93 had some issues, and he's off track. But otherwise, all 28 of our 29 starters still on track.
Pretty clean race so far, and that does make me wonder if we're maybe setting up for a late race incident here, as the 5 of Brent Kincott looking to set up a pass on the 27 of Will Barbagelata. That battle is, Brent Kincott is not battling with Barbagelata right now. Kincott's actually 27th and 2 laps down. So he is another driver that had a problem on pit road. I'm not sure what happened with him. Maybe got a penalty or something, but that's really unfortunate because he had a really good run going.
Yeah, it looks like potentially maybe even, maybe he had to come back down a second time or something. I don't know. That, yeah, unfortunately, that's, had a decent run going and was, it looks like back-to-back laps of maybe on pit road. So whether it's a penalty or something, or you hate to bring up, maybe it's, tires unchecked or something. Yeah, that can throw away your race easily too, which is so frustrating.
Yeah, you never really know. Well, up front, Christian Peterson has dropped about 0.8 of a second off of Hunter Madalinas, and why I bring that up is that I feel like that's a pretty big difference in just straight up tires. So I wonder if he's maybe lagging back a little bit, trying to backload or rather front load some of the tire saving, backload some of the pace on this run. He's stabilized since then, but I just wonder if maybe he's trying to do something a little bit different to save some tire here.
I think that the kind of somewhat of taking a chance by pitting a little earlier than Madalinas and trying to close the gap and maybe even pass him was a great move. Now I think you're in that situation that he's got a couple lap fresher tires. Maybe he's thinking you save your tires here, you're going to have a lot of lap traffic if this run goes green. And Madalinas is using the fresh tires right now to start working that lap traffic. Maybe Peterson's thinking it's going to be a lot easier if he saves his stuff and then passes these drivers that are using up all their stuff trying to stay on the lead lap. I don't know. We'll see how that works for him. Is check back in the field. The 12 of Henry sliding off the corner trying to get around Sims here. Going to use the top lane in 1 and 2.
Henry was squeezed up all the way against the wall down the front straightaway, trying to widen his arc as much as he can through 1 and 2. Now he'll go to the inside on Jackson Sims and drive it off into turn number 3, but Sims is going to hang right on his right rear quarter panel. Side by side out of turn number 4, Sims going to have the run. This battle for 8th just getting started. They'll stay side by side into turn 1, neither backing out. Henry pushing Sims up the track a little bit, going to bounce off the 6 truck and go down the track just a little bit. Still no run for either of them. Dead even into turn number 3. Contact again.
I was going to say, we haven't seen a lot of times tonight where these drivers would kind of both go for the same lane and kind of door slam. But, yeah, back-to-back corners where the 12 kind of tried to use up the 6, and the 6 says, nope, you're going to have to try a different way to get by me.
I called it bully ball earlier in the race. It's not the worst tactic to use at Iowa. If you want a little bit of a higher line to try and pass someone on the inside, sometimes the best way to do it is just line up your doors as square as you can and go for a little bit of a shot. Henry going to try it again here down into turn number 1. He'll try and take that middle line. Go a little lower this time. Had to learn his lesson from last time. The consequence of that is that his line was just a little bit shallower than he would have liked, and he just can't keep the run off the corner.
He's doing a really good job when following the 6 here of just running like a lane higher than Sims, and it gave him a nice run. There's a couple times he got really close to the back bumper exiting the corner. This time he single file, he's going to try the bottom. I think he wants to run that higher lane through 3 and 4 here, get that run going. He's going to stay more in the middle and try to be offset of the 6 coming off of 4 here. This is a nice run though for being on the bottom.
He's got another drive off the corner. If I was Henry, I'd really want to send it more into the corner on entry than kind of park it on his door in the middle. I think that's kind of the only way you're going to be able to gain ground here, because you saw right there, he just kind of tried to go for the same line but lower, and it just didn't really work out for him. We'll have Elliot Henderson pressuring him just a little bit from behind as well.
And I think it's one of those things you forget what you were trying, and now Henry's back running the top, and I think he'll realize that was working well. If he could use the top in one of these corners to then be able to get a run to get side by side, and like you said, then maybe drive in a little deeper on the bottom. We'll see. He's got a run here. Don't know if this one's going to be enough, but at least going to get to the side of the 6.
That was a nice run off the corner. That was good.
Not able to do it yet. Maybe drive it into 3 this time. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the thing about Iowa. If you have clear space, you kind of got to try and accelerate into it. Whoa! Contact! Henry is sideways in the middle of the corner. That's not how you make a pass. He'll lose ground to Elliot Henderson. He might actually lose the spot to Elliot Henderson. Henry just drove it in too deep and went right into the side of the 6 truck.
I think you had talked about you want to try to slide in there and try to drive it in deep entering the corner, but that there was more probably just frustration. You're trying to get around this truck for a couple laps, and finally it kind of like we said, boils over, and that's unfortunately the 12 lost a spot and maybe 2 here with the 40 kind of behind him now.
Nonetheless, it was a good save by Zach Henry. We'll go on board with Elliot Henderson to check it out. Henry sideways in the corner. Henderson has to check up. Ultimately still able to get the run on him and clear the 12.
could almost tell Henderson there kind of making the decision low, high a couple times there because he didn't really know where the 12 was going. But yeah, nice save. And these guys are all been able to kind of stay together here.
Yeah, really hard to tell in that situation which direction is the right way to go. Meanwhile, I do see a side-by-side battle on... Well, actually, no, that's just Jackson Sims putting another lap on Blair Neobone. Meanwhile, there is a battle on track between Zach Henry and Nicholas Caressel. Caressel, one of the drivers who's had an above-average run tonight. Haven't really talked about him much all season, but he's putting together a solid race and looking to break inside the top 10. Meanwhile, just an update on the lead. Hunter Madalinas has dunked about 2 seconds on Christian Peterson, give or take a tenth or two. So like I said, I'm just going to keep watching that and see if Peterson is saving his stuff for a late race charge, or if he really is just falling this far off the back of Madalinas.
Yeah, I think there was a tenth or two, or a lap or two, where Madalinas was a tenth or two slower than Peterson. And I think that was just being careful around lap traffic, because now Peterson's going to kind of have to deal with them. The same guys that Madalinas has already passed. So, yeah, now back to the 12 and the 40. It's going to bring in the 92 Ascenzi is there too now. All these guys, you know, we have a long run and have pit stops. You think they're going to get separated, and now they're all right back together.
Yeah, Michael Sensi was running just about 14th before that cycle of pit stops, and because of those two drivers, Neiswanger and Kingcott, that had penalties, now he's up inside running with a shot at the top 10. So one of the drivers that really benefited out of that situation, Caressel, one of those as well. He's going to go high, wide, and handsome here on the 12 of Zach Henry, and that run off the corner should propel him cleanly up inside the top 10. He's clear to the inside. Zach Henry pulling off to the bottom. Whoa, Henry! Into the side of... Oh, and he's going to spin in 1 and 2. Zach Henry into the inside wall. It's over for the 12 truck. I don't know what just happened, but it looked like a lot of frustration or maybe a tire going down. And Spencer Owens is spinning out of turn 2. Another playoff driver running into problems. There's a lot of chatter over the radio right now. I imagine some drivers are very unhappy with each other. Let's take a look at what happened.
Yeah, we talked about we saw that moment of where the 12 did the big slide already. I don't know if yeah, just kind of maybe turning into the corner earlier than he thought, and then decided to try to get back up to the top, and yeah, I don't know.
Almost wonder if his monitor maybe blacked out or something, because that is... I don't really have an explanation for that. I'm gonna assume it was some kind of issue with his monitor or something, because he kind of out of nowhere just went down to the bottom and slid right up the track. Owen spun as well. Not sure what happened there. He looked like he didn't go all the way around, but he definitely got big time sideways out of 2. Yeah, he just dropped it on its own.
I wonder, we saw that, like we talked about, the 12 had that slide earlier. I don't know if that, made his tires mad enough that, maybe there's a chance that on this trial oval, as the tires get older, you can get into the gas even on the trial oval where you're turning a little bit, and that's where the 12 almost kind of got a little loose on that front stretch, and then that kind of just messed up his entry. I don't know.
I won't rule it out. I mean, I've seen weirder things on iRacing. Getting loose in the tri-oval is kind of more of a Richmond thing than anything, but it could definitely happen here. Terrell Baker, by the way, is putting some pressure on Austin Moore for 12th. That's the battle we're watching on screen now. Yeah, very interesting development there. Not really sure what to make of it.
And you have these drivers that now have really burned up their tires by having a incident like that, and the worst part is then you look up at the monitor and you got 30-some laps to go. It's like, yeah, it's just so tough when once you get to that point that this is a little bit of a longer race, and because of that timing of that caution we had, it made it where we're gonna have 2 full fuel windows here. So no way to save yourself other than just to run it out and hope for a caution.
Yeah, really unfortunate. You can quit the race now, or you can just ride it out, but either way, it's definitely a frustrating set of circumstances to run in. Austin Moore still trying to hold off the 8 of Terrell Baker, who is all the way up by that wall. Think back to Chicagoland earlier this year. Baker, one of the drivers who was hanging it out up against that wall every chance he got. He is doing that again in 3 and 4, and running the middle in 1 and 2.
And it's
Blair Neobone, the lap truck, might play a role in that battle as well.
Yeah, that's where we're at now. You got a lot of these drivers that are battling for position, but being mindful of where these lap trucks are. The 8 kind of deciding, do I go to the outside? Do I go to the inside here on the 91? We'll see. Down to the inside in 1 and 2.
Terrell going to take another swipe at it. He'll be side by side with Moore off the corner, but Moore clears him and stays in line. They've got Hunter Madalinas breathing down their necks as well, so that means that Madalinas has lapped all the way up to 13th place. Dominant performance here by the 7 truck. Keep in mind, though, we still got a long way to go. I mean, we saw at Darlington some lap trucks wrecking in front of Madalinas, nearly took him out of that race, so it's definitely not over until the checkered flag.
There we see Madalinas closing in on this battle here, the 91 and the 8. So, yeah, this is the moment that you talked about Madalinas. The one thing that he's so good at is doing the same thing all the time. When you get to a point in this race where you have a somewhat nice lead, a couple seconds and a little bit fresher tires than the 71, you got to be smart about it. And I think a driver that is so disciplined on doing the same thing all the time, it's hard to do that. So we'll see if he can navigate this traffic. But yeah, now we're showing the 40 that he's kind of a great run to be able to get back up into the top 10.
Well, report from pit road, Nicholas Caressel had a connectivity issue. He fell out of the session, currently running 22nd a lap down, so the attrition starting to kick in just a little bit. Unfortunate set of circumstances there have bitten the 40, who was putting together a great run. Moore does eventually get passed by Terrell Baker. He's up into 11th and will set his sights on Michael Senzi, who's another 9/10 up the road. Hunter Madalinas, though, 22 laps to go. He has been perfect today. I think he's led every single lap so far.
Yeah, it's been an impressive run, and we talked about the wild card race last week at Atlanta, the opportunity for a lot of these drivers to maybe gain some ground on this 7, and I think they all know that was their best opportunity because of what could potentially happen as soon as the next week. And here we are at Iowa, and just a great performance. Like you said, long way to go yet, still 20 laps to go. You never know what could happen, but doing a nice job of just navigating this lap traffic now.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter has been dunking on the field ever since lap 1, really ever since the playoffs started. A couple of falters here and there, but he has been otherwise flawless. Update report on the number 40. He apparently had a connectivity issue for a lap, so he lost a lap on scoring, but he did not actually fall out of the session. So not sure how they'll score that, but as of now, we have him down in 22nd. We'll see if that gets corrected or revised at all by the race admins post-race. Almost said late admins. They're not dead.
I'd love to give a shout out to the 00 of Aiden DuPont. He's been probably one of the biggest lobbyists for Iowa to be on the Great Lakes Truck Series schedule. And though he's down a lap and he got passed by Madalinas this run, running in 14th. We've seen some nights where maybe things haven't gone his way. The other thing that's really awesome about Aiden is he's done this the last couple of years where pink paint schemes. He's been a promoter of everybody run pink paint schemes, and then if you run pink paint schemes, he donates some money to a breast cancer cause. I think it's Rays of Hope out of Springfield, Massachusetts. So it's kind of cool to see Aiden do something like that. And if you notice tonight, a lot of trucks with a little bit of pink on their trucks to raise some money for a good cause, which is a cool thing to do all of October.
It's awesome to see. You'll love to see that. Good night for DuPont as well. We haven't really mentioned him at all. It's been pretty quiet, but he is right now running up in 14th as Hunter Madalinas getting a little frustrated with the lap truck of Terrell Baker. Nearly took a shot at his left rear going into turn 3. That could have been nasty, but they stay out of each other's way. Baker gets loose off the corner, gives Madalinas a shot down in a 1 and 2. So Madalinas not making it easy for himself here, but he's got a 3-second lead. So a lot of room to play with, and a little bit of room to have some fun with lap trucks, I guess.
You gotta wonder, with some of these lap trucks, they know that the 7's been leading all night, and even if you didn't feel like you had a chance to win as one of these guys that is going down a lap late, you're probably still frustrated at how much you're getting your behind kind of kicked right now by the 7 truck. So yeah, it's easy to maybe try to race them a little bit hard and try to maybe force him into a mistake, but that's pretty tough to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I also think that at one point, if you're a lapped car, you might take a little bit of pity on a driver who is fighting for his first win or whatever. It might be a feel-good story. You might let him by, but Hunter Madalinas, I don't think he's really fighting for his first win. He knows the ropes. He's won quite a few races this season. I think that lap trucks might be a little bit more reluctant to lay over for him, especially considering he has now lapped all the way up through 10th place, so only the top 9 on the lead lap as it stands. That is impressive.
And that just means you're getting into drivers that are tougher to pass too. So, yeah, some of these drivers that are battling for position, that all have good, pace. We're able to stay up in the top 10. It's always tough to get around them. But yeah, you see Senzi now, basically the 8 of Baker, kind of following here. We'll see if he can get back by the 92 now that they've let the 7, or at least have gotten passed by the 7. This would be for a free pass position if a caution was to come out in the final 10 laps here.
Yeah, all things are even now between these two drivers. They've got no more lead lap cars to let by, and Baker gives a big squeeze to the 92 of Senzi into the corner. He'll shoot on by and take that spot away, but Senzi throws a mean crossover on the number 8. So they'll switch positions with Senzi on the inside down into turn number 1. And this battle will continue on to 11 to go.
And it's really easy to know, like, hey, this would be for a free pass, but also understanding, and we haven't had a caution in so many laps that what are the odds of we getting one? But yeah, the 8 gets in the wall a little bit here, but he's going to be past Senzi here and get clear of him.
I think this battle might be for a little bit of pride as well. It's the last spot inside the top 10, last spot that you'll get a little top 10 marker on the stat sheet, so that's got to feel good. They're going to go pretty hard for this spot, but I think Senzi might have to give up. Baker pulling away just a little bit. Never mind, Senzi can take another swing at it here in 3 and 4, but watch that drive off the high side. Senzi just doesn't have anything for it.
You talked about, bragging rights or different things that these battles kind of, pay off to, and this series for many years would do a graphic where the top 10 gets shown on social media. So I remember when racing in these races, I'd always be like, I got to get up into the top 10. Tell my teammates, hey, if I get a top 10, at least my name will be on the score sheet, right?
Yeah, I've walled people for interviews before. Top 3 get interviews. I've thrown someone in the wall to get that interview, and well, they gave me an EOL for it next week. But hey, I still got that interview.
Anything for the sponsors, right? Might as well. But
anything for the sponsors, anything for the ego, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's this has been a great race tonight. Outside of it's been the domination of the 7, but to see a lot of these drivers, kind of some great battles here and really stay off of each other. Not much for incidents. We talked about how it's such a clean race that you like to think here in these last 6 laps that we're not going to get a caution, but yeah, it's been a great job by the whole field to put on a show and keep it clean and green.
I mean, Madalinas has just been perfect from the drop of the green. The closest performance I can think of to him is probably Larson at Bristol a couple of weeks ago in the Cup Series. I mean, he led all but, 15 laps? I think Madalinas has led all but about 1 or 2. So Hunter, I mean, we've seen it the whole race. He's just been running the bottom. I mean, he hasn't moved off that yellow line even once. It's clear he has a line that he likes to run. He doesn't see a reason to move off it, and clearly it's worked out for him.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. We talked about the playoffs, and this is kind of the unofficial, I guess, halfway through this race is halfway through the chase, and kind of, maybe a little bit of a wild card. You got Auto Club next week, and then the following week, with 2 races to go, you go to Rockingham. That might be a little bit of an interesting race before you head to Texas to wrap this up. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens now as the time is running out for these drivers battling for the championship.
Auto Club, Rockingham, Texas. Definitely a pretty high ceiling of chaos across those 3 races. Same time, though, any of them could kind of go green from start to finish. You never really know how they're going to play out. But Hunter Madalena definitely ensuring that he is going to have the biggest possible margin going into those races. If we could just pull up the points here and take a look where we stand, Madalena has 13 points over Christian Peterson at the moment. So a very healthy margin going into the final 3 races of the season. We'll definitely just have to see how that plays out. I don't want to lock anything up just yet, but it is looking more and more likely like Hunter Madalena is going to walk away with this championship.
Yeah, and I think, considering the domination tonight, I probably would have guessed that it would be more than just a gap that's in the teens, but at least Peterson is not letting him get away. So yeah, one mistake, one bad race can really change this whole thing.
White flag this time by for Hunter Madalena. It has been an up and down season. It started out with some controversy before he was able to cross off his first win at Watkins Glen earlier this year. At some point, I think I wondered if his aggression would ever catch up to him, but so far, it has been smooth sailing. He's going to knock off another win tonight. Hunter Madalena going to extend his points lead going into next week. 3 races left in the playoffs, and Hunter Madalena has one hand on the wheel, one hand on the championship. Madalena's dominant. He wins at Iowa. Peterson, 4.5 seconds back, will come home in second. Nathan Jump, another 11 back from the leader, will bring it home in third to round out your top 3. Tony Manji comes home in fourth, and Matthew Weeks, not able to recover as well as I thought he might have from that early slide, comes home in fifth. He'll have a lot of work to do over the next 3 weeks to try and make up some of that championship ground. But it's Hunter Madalena, winner again. He's been the winningest driver this season. He'll extend that record by one more checkered flag tonight. Another win for the driver in the number 7.
Yeah, getting used to figuring out how to celebrate these Great Lakes Truck Series wins, and that's another opportunity to celebrate here on the front stretch.
And it took him a while to get started. He really didn't start off the season that well. It took him a little bit to really hit his stride, but really ever since the regular season came to a close, I want to say maybe North Wilkesboro, maybe Dover. I mean, he has just been on a tear. I mean, every single week he seems kind of unstoppable.
Yeah, hit those kind of 3 straight wins to wrap up the regular season, and then kick off the playoffs with that win at Homestead, and now a second win in this chase format of the 7 races in the chase. So.
Yeah, definitely a great drive for him tonight. We can go ahead and bring him up now and talk with your race winner. We'll go ahead and give him a second to get on in here. Maybe I can move him. Can I move him? There we go.
Got him.
Hunter Madalena, you have won again. Congratulations. Man, it seems like every week you are just unstoppable. We've been talking since the start of this playoffs about how your strategy is always to kind of stick with the same line as much as you can. What kind of preparation goes into these races?
Man, actually, this week, I didn't put very much preparation in it. I had some memory from when C Open came here, I want to say a couple months ago. It was really just about, figuring out in practice, what lap, like what position in the track works best. Found braking markers, found lines that worked the best. And, it was just kind of a learning process. And then, it's like you said, I've always went at the same motto that, if you have a line that saves tires, you keep running it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you were really consistent tonight, just wrapping the bottom as much as you could. Did you ever really feel any pressure for the lead?
And maybe after that second caution that Louis spun out, I think when Peterson and Tony were kind of on me, but they were both running opposite lines from the bottom, and they couldn't really get to my rear bumper. I don't think it was ever a hesitation of, having pressure that put on me to where I would make a mistake. It was just kind of executing, and then when we got down to that pit stops, was finding the right time to pit that I would still come out in front of Christian, because clean air was so important. And so it really just mattered having the lead, and I was just able to save tires, drive away from everybody, and bring home another one.
Yeah, it's another win for you. You extend your points lead to 13 points over second place Christian Peterson. Looking at the last 3 races of the season, we got Auto Club, Rockingham, and Texas. How are you feeling going into those last 3?
Those last 3 aren't a super speedway, so I feel pretty good. I really messed up last week with just having the wrecks that we had involved in, and then having that last couple lap wreck that completely took me out of it. We lost a lot of points last week, so I'm just hoping with these next 2 weeks I'm able to gain points. I'm hoping to have clean races like I did today, so I don't have to worry about penalty points. Where we were hovering right around, I think, 1 penalty point off of getting a pass through, and that's the last thing we need. So we had a clean race today. We're going to move to 2 away from that, and hoping that these next couple races we have clean races, move away from those penalty point ranges, so we're not in an area where that is a risk that we could have a pass through. But it's just going to be continuing the same thing. Hopefully we're just week in, week out better than Peterson, Weeks, and Elliott, and it's just gonna be a grind these last couple races.
Hunter, it was another great performance for you tonight. Anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thanks to the E95 guys. Elliott did an amazing job that first run, holding everybody off. Gave me a 5-second lead over the whole field, so he did an amazing job getting me the gap that I needed. Sensi ran good tonight. Austin ran good tonight. All the E95 guys did great. Just happy to be with these guys. These guys are amazing, and I wouldn't want to be racing with anybody else.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of teamwork going into this, a lot of grit, a lot of determination, and it's paying off. Another win for Hunter Madalinas. Hunter, congratulations and thank you for talking to us.
Yes, thank you guys.
So that was your race winner, Hunter Madalinas. Now we've got Christian Peterson up in the booth. He's standing by with Ross Brockman.
Christian, you came home second tonight, and a valiant effort there on the green flag pit stop. What else did you need to maybe try to catch that 7 truck, though you were chasing him for most of the night?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He was pretty quick, so I don't know. I was pushing as hard as I could. I just couldn't get the drive off I wanted. I don't know. It was just a small difference, but it added up pretty big in the end when we go green like that. But it was a lot of fun, and Hunter did a good job. My teammate Tony did a good job in fourth, so not a bad night.
When you get to the middle portions of this race and you're battling around lap traffic, what's that like to make sure that you kind of don't get frustrated and take the time to get through the field and keep your position through up near the front?
Yeah, I don't know. On long green flags runs, you just gotta, I don't know. At the end there, everybody seemed pretty even. It was like we caught those lap cars, and then we're kind of all evened off at that point, and it makes it a little hard to pass. But no, it was a good night.
So now you still second in points, trying to chase down the 7 truck here of Hunter Madalinas for this championship. 3 races to go. Auto Club, Rockingham, and Texas. What is your outlook on these final 3 races, and then what is your goals to get through the final 3?
Well, 7 trucks pretty damn consistent, so we probably got to win 1 or 2, but we'll see. Rockingham could be interesting. I don't know. Auto Club could be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be drafty or you're going to be able to like kind of pull away from people who I'm not sure how that's going to go, but looking forward to it either way.
Well, we look forward to seeing you on track those last 3 races, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyone you want to thank tonight, or any shout outs before we let you go?
Yeah, just everybody, Scott or Tony and Duda there at Manji Motorsports. We've been getting better throughout the season. And then Duda, he did a good job spotting tonight. He couldn't make the race, but that's how it all goes sometimes. It was a lot of help. So everybody who puts on the league and you guys for broadcasting.
Well, thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Ross.
Yep.
And that was Christian Peterson, your second place finisher tonight. We are unable to get a hold of your third place finisher, Nathan Jump, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at your finishing results from tonight's race at Iowa. Coming away with the win, Hunter Madalinas, 199 laps led out of 200 on the board. It was an incredibly dominant performance by Hunter Madalinas. Extends the championship lead just a little bit. Christian Peterson comes home in second after starting in 8th. Good run for him. Nathan Jump comes home in 3rd. Tony Manji in 4th with another top 5 on the season. Matthew Weeks comes home in 5th after sliding early. Good recovery for him. Barbara Gelada comes home P6. Jackson Sims in 7th. Jared Darling in 8th. Elliot Henderson falls back from a strong early run to finish in 9th. And Terrell Baker, your first driver 1 lap down, comes home in 10th.
Our 11th place finisher was Michael Senzi in the 92. The 91 right behind him in 12th. The kind of mid-pack of the field here. Some of these drivers that were able to crack the top 15 after running just outside of it. The 63 of Eric Kep, the 00 of Aiden DuPont, and then the 16 of Jim Duda was kind of in that early caution to start this race and able to come back and finish in the top 15, which is great, kind of a great recovery in the sense of causing our only incident tonight. The 10 of Hunter Brittle is 16th. Spencer Owens in 17th, Matt Durr 18th, Preston Henry in the 2 truck was 19th, and the 28 of James Shiflett rounds out our top 20.
How about James Shiflett stealing a lap lead there, preventing Hunter Madalinas going 100% of the way. All right, 21st, Zach Henry, after spinning late, still not sure what happened there, but we'll have to take a look. Actually, we'll probably never know, to be honest. So Zach Henry comes home in 21st. Nicholas Caressel has a connection issue, comes home in 22nd. Robin Durr comes home in 23rd. Rod Fasnaugh, 24th. Lewis Woodall, 25th. Shane Neiswanger had an issue on pit road, comes home 26th. Brett Kingcott, very unfortunate for Brent. He had a very strong run early on, then ran into some pit road trouble, comes home 27th. Blair Neabone, 28th. And Evan Snyder quits the race 99 laps early, comes home in 29th. So that is going to do it for our coverage of the Iowa Farmers 200. It was a very clean race tonight. Got the whole thing done in just about an hour and 30 minutes. Ross, any final thoughts from tonight?
Yeah, I think more of the same as far as Hunter Madalinas able to really show some speed tonight. A great race overall from the rest of the field, though. Everybody keeping it clean and having some great battles. It was awesome to see. I'm really excited. Peterson kind of brought it up to see what the next 3 racetracks do, because you kind of have a little bit of unknown. Do these trucks draft well at Auto Club? Or are you going to have the tires getting burned up at Rockingham and then Texas to wrap it all up? So I'm excited to see the final 3 weeks, and it was a great way to kick off kind of this final month of the season here at Iowa tonight.
Yeah, we're in the home stretch. We'll have to see if Christian Peterson or maybe even Matthew Weeks can make a late race or late season charge at the championship, or if Hunter Madalinas is going to be able to cruise his way to victory. Thank you all for tuning in to Split Second Broadcasting tonight for the Iowa Farmers 200. Next up on Split Second, Thursday night, the OSRL Premier Series heads to the Bristol Motor Speedway for the Bristol Night Race. So make sure to tune back in Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. But for the Great Lakes Truck Series, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. I've been Jonathan Oates alongside Ross Brockman. Shout out to Jeff Johnson, everyone's favorite producer. Good night, everybody.